What's up, everybody? Welcome to another route of Whiteout's World. I'm your host, Fred Barnett, with Michael Timpson and Irving Fryer, the Irving Fryer, soon to be in the Hall of Fame. Very soon, be in the Hall of Fame.
You been smoking something tonight?
It, brother.
No,
you
I ain't
drinking.
smoking nothing.
You drinking.
Soon
Okay, you
to
speak
be
it.
in the Hall of Fame.
I got you, Mike. Speak it.
We're here to talk about the usual. We're here to talk about the usual subjects, but the unusual suspects. Guys, I got on my Cowboys hat because I'm rooting for the Cowboys. We got to get those Cowboys to go into San Francisco, go to San Francisco and make some noise. I don't quite believe they will, but we'll see what happens.
Why do you want the
Anybody
Cowboys
got thoughts
to win?
on
Got
that?
the hat on. You
Why do you want the
not?
Cowboys to win?
Like you all in.
Why not? Why not?
Look, both of you played
Let
for
them
the
win.
Eagles. Both of you played for the Eagles. All three of us played for the Eagles.
Yeah.
Why would you ever root
Oh,
for the
you
Cowboys?
know what? I want the Eagles to be the only undefeated team right now. Let me take this off because I'm losing confidence as I'm wearing this.
Yeah, good.
I'm starting to drop my confidence as I'm wearing it. But
Well,
it's interesting. Go ahead.
you know that my team has been from day one is San Francisco. So I don't think it's
I
going to
understand
happen.
that. I understand it. I understand it. And you know what? I got a lot to say about San Francisco this weekend. And as
Sure.
we talk, let me go through our subject real quick. Of course, we're talking about the top team, the biggest surprise, and who's that guy, the top 5 wide receivers, and of course, Thursday night. All right, now we're going to start with who's our top team. Mike, I don't even have to ask you who the top team is at this point, I guess. But you know what? Let's go with Irv. Irv, who's the top team right now?
Okay, we see Steve Andrews is on with us right now. We got a bunch of folk on actually right now, Fred. Y'all come on in the room.
Make sure they subscribe. Make sure they subscribe.
That's what we want to make sure we let everybody know. We didn't really put it on the screen or put it in the comments, but we want to make sure you know that Wideouts World has an official YouTube channel. So you can go to YouTube, search Wideouts World, and subscribe. We know you're on millions. We have Wideouts World on millions, but we want our subscription rates to go up, our numbers to go up on the YouTube channel. So Steve, go to right now. Go to YouTube.
Go to YouTube.
because we can't use the channel until we get enough subscriptions. Okay, so we want everybody to go and make sure you let people know.
Tell your friends to tell their friends.
Yeah, if you got a girlfriend, tell her too, and tell your girlfriend to tell her girlfriend. I'm gonna keep it right there. I'm gonna keep it right there. So good to see y'all. Amy Andrews, what's going on?
It's the top team of the week, not necessarily of the league. Top team this past week.
Top team of the week.
And this is top team of the week in our opinion.
Yes,
this is not necessarily top team of the week as far as social media or the NFL or any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Richard Melton's in the house.
Ours is more official, but this is official.
Ours is more official than the NFL.
Yes.
You get the real deal here on Wideouts World. So my team of the week right now, they're not undefeated because I was going to go with Philly, but I changed my mind because I looked a little bit deeper into this team and they've got some things going on right now that is really kind of unique. They're 1-3. They won this past week against Miami to be able to come in and shut that whole thing down after Miami scoring 70 points last week. This team is the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills. Richard Melton says Buffalo Bills. He's on watching right now, and this is Richard Melton's favorite team. It hurts me to say this, but yeah, they won the last 3 games. They won their last 3 games by at least 28 points, and they've done it quietly. Everybody's talking about San Francisco. Everybody's talking about.
They're 3-1.
They're 3-1. Yeah, I'm sorry. What did I say? 1-3. They lost one. They lost one game. Okay. Yeah. So, that ties the longest streak in the Super Bowl era. Only one team in NFL history has won 4 consecutive games by at least 28 points, and that was in 1942 by the Chicago Bears. So, Josh Allen, he's killing it. Josh Allen, and he's doing it quietly, y'all. You don't hear Sports Center and those sports shows on the radio, you don't hear them talking a lot about Buffalo. I knew Buffalo was going to be tough this year. Josh Allen, in week 4, he had 4 TDs and only 4 incompletions. He had a perfect passer rating of 158.3.
That's huge.
He ran for 1 touchdown, 11-yard touchdown. The only other player in the Super Bowl era with 4 passing TDs and 1 rushing score is Aaron Rodgers, and that was in week 7 of 2019 against the Raiders, man. Buffalo was killing it right now. This is the 3rd time in Josh Allen's career, that he's had 1 rushing touchdown and 4 passing TDs, which he's tied with Aaron Rodgers for second most since 1950. Drew Brees is the only other one that has 4 such games. Stephon Diggs. Let me holler at Stephon. 3 TDs, 120 yards. I'm sure Richard Melton's happy about that. 4th career game with at least 120 yards and 3 TDs, tied for 3rd most since the Super Bowl era. The only other players with more than 4 games with 120 yards and 3 TDs are Jerry Rice with 9 and Randy Moss with 7. They're doing some special stuff right now, and it's being done quietly. You know, we hear about these other teams, Kansas City making all this noise and Miami making all this noise and San Francisco making a bunch of noise and people talking about the Philadelphia Eagles and how good they are. Nobody's really talking about Buffalo, and I think Buffalo's going to sneak up on a lot of people this year.
Yeah, I think the Jets kind of turned everybody's head from Buffalo. But you know, to all the fans that's listening, that you're getting some information here that you're probably not even hearing on ESPN. You're probably not hearing on the sports channel. You know, you got Dr. Irvin here that's literally breaking down the numbers. Mike, who we got, Mike? Should I even ask?
First, to talk about Buffalo, I love the quote from one of their players. It may have been Diggs, and he said, with regards to the Dolphins, because everybody was talking about the Dolphins, he says, we own the AFC East. And we know because we played in that division.
Right.
The Bills have been killing that division for a long time. So basically he said, not so fast, Miami. And but they jumped on Miami. They showed them something. But I agree with you. That first week when they lost to the Jets, kind of threw everybody off. So they're being who we thought they would be. But it's a long way to go.
But
so
again, remember they won those 3 games that they did win by 28 points or more. Who's doing that?
Yeah,
nobody's doing that. Miami scored 70, but they're up and down.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're gonna give credit where credit is due. So what I try to do is I try to give the perspective and not pick the team that everybody's going to say, okay, that's the team. I'm going to give you one that you didn't even think about, who had a superb performance this past week.
Superb.
Detroit Lions.
Superb.
Detroit Lions.
Okay.
Detroit Lions. Now this team came out 34-20 over the Steelers. Lambeau Field. They go to Lambeau Field. Now, we all know how difficult it is to play in Lambeau, to go to Lambeau and win. Goff threw a pick early in the first quarter. After that point, he played lights out. They came back offensively. They scored 14 points in the first quarter, 13 points in the second quarter. And then the fourth quarter, they scored 7 points. They limited Green Bay 3 points the first quarter. And then the second half, Green Bay had a total of 17 points. So they won that game 34-20. But here's the thing that's good about Detroit. You have a coach that they all believe in. Offensively, they got some good wideouts. They can throw the ball around. They got some good wideouts. Goff, if he plays like he played when he was with the Rams, they have that position pretty much solidified. And their defense is hungry, young, and aggressive. I like them. Yeah. They're a sleeper, but they're coming along. Because you think about it. In the division that they're in right now, Green Bay normally ran that division. But, Chicago's no good. And when you talk about this team, Chicago getting up there, they can make some noise. But I just was surprised with that team of the week coming and going into Lambeau Field and playing a solid game. So I gave that to Detroit Lions.
You're right. It's tough to play in Lambeau Field, whether it's whether it's cold or whether it's warm. It's just
whether it's cold or whether it's warm.
It doesn't matter what the weather is. It can be good weather or it can be bad weather. It's just tough to play there. The fans are phenomenal. I don't know why. I mean, it's tough to play in Denver, obviously, because of the altitude. But it's tough to go in there and win. But
now we'll find out in 2 weeks. Hold on, we'll find out in 2 weeks what they really got because they got to go to Tampa in 2 weeks.
Right.
They play Arizona next week. We're not gonna count that one, but they got to go to Tampa.
I think they'll be fine.
We'll see what they got.
I just never.
That'll be fine.
I was never impressed by Goff. First of all, he don't look good. He don't look right in his uniform. He looks great. He looks. You look good, you play good. You play good to get paid good. You know what Deion said. He don't look good in his uniform. He look like I don't know what he looks like. He don't look right in his uniform.
Hey, look like the coach was like, "Hey, you come here.
Yeah,
come here. Put this suit on."
And he has. And this is just my opinion. He has spurts of above average play. He's never been able to maintain it over an extended period of time. That's why he's kind of bounced around a little bit. But we'll see. Maybe he's in. All it takes is the right place at the right time. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Okay. Well, Mike, I'm gonna do you a favor with an asterisk, though.
Okay.
I think this week the 49ers were the best team, and simply because they did exactly what they were supposed to do. I mean, Purdy is at 73%. McCaffrey had 115 yards. Ayuk had 100 yards. So everybody was just on point. Of course, the defense is great. But you know what? I did what I did last year. When they won this past game, I said, wait a minute, let me look back. And I remember when they were in the playoffs at the Eagles. And I remember sitting in a bar in Philadelphia. And, of course, I heard the announcer talk about the 49ers having, the number one defense. And because I'm on the East Coast and in Bermuda, I rarely see the 49ers. I just see highlights. So you know what I did? I looked up their schedule. They didn't play nobody. And interestingly,
they played somebody. They just didn't play people you thought were good.
They hadn't played anybody at this point. I think they played solid teams, but the Rams, the Cardinals, they hadn't played anybody. But I do give them credit for doing exactly what they need to do to win football games to come out on top. Now, interestingly, in my opinion, I don't think the Eagles are really doing what they're supposed to do at this point, although they're 4-0.
Well,
although both those teams are.
Doesn't the bottom line mean? Isn't the bottom line win?
The bottom line is win.
Right.
You know better than anybody.
But they are doing what they're supposed to do, which is to go out and win.
Come on. How many times have you won the game? We won the game, and we look at that film and we're like, oh my goodness. I did great out well.
That's every.
I don't think. I put it this way: the Eagles are winning games, but I feel like they are not grading out well.
But you know what? We've all been in that same locker room
of
where
course.
we realize
That's
every
football.
game that you win in the NFL, it's difficult. It's difficult to win in the NFL any given Sunday.
It's difficult.
So you got to give them
of
credit.
Course.
But Fred,
I'm listening. At the same time too, we're talking about viable teams. We're talking about teams that are going to be competitive. We're talking about teams that that's going to stand up to you. They hadn't played a team yet that stood up to them. Or that even was able to stand up to them. We're talking about Pittsburgh, the Rams, and the Cardinals.
Are you talking about the 49ers? Are you talking about the 49ers right now? Or are you talking about the Eagles? Okay, you're talking about the 49ers. Okay, well, 49. Well, the thing about the Eagles isn't the fact that they have not played up to their capability or up to maybe even the people's expectation or played up to the level that they were playing last year. Isn't that kind of the beauty of what they're doing? When you look at, okay, the Dolphins scored 70 points. Frisco is killing them. They're there every week. Buffalo is doing it. They're silent killers. You got the Kansas City Chiefs. Everybody, these teams that everybody has these expectations of, particularly at the beginning of the season, those teams are playing well right now. The Eagles, it's almost like we're seeing their best ball. We never saw anybody score 70 points before. I never did it. Not while I was watching NFL football. It happened before, but not while I was playing or after the time I played. So these teams are playing real well. The Eagles are not playing up to their capabilities, but yet they're still winning. So for the Eagles, the best is yet to come. And these other teams are probably hoping it happens later than sooner, because you want to be peaking at the latter part of the season. So can these other teams maintain this high level of play that they've already been able to achieve come week 12, 13, exactly. 14?
You're making my point. The point is that they're not playing well right now. And of course, I think we as players understand that, but as talking to the fans, there's some fans, they're different level of fans. There are fans who just want to know who won the game. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, after that Sunday football game, when you go into meetings Monday, you're dissecting everything. Mm-hmm. And trust me, defensive coordinators, offensive coordinators are not saying, oh, guys, this is beautiful. They know it's not beautiful. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, too, they know that they're gaining momentum, and there's a possibility to gain momentum. And I just feel like they haven't played, which is a good thing. It's not a bad thing, which is why they're not the top team right now, in my opinion. But at the same time, too, there are different circumstances. When I look at the last game with the Commanders, the Washington Commanders always play the Eagles tough in Lincoln Financial. As a matter of fact, I feel like the Washington Commanders they play all their home games in the Lincoln and probably win half of them. They for some reason they just come in there and they just play well.
Right.
But of course, there's green grass on the other side for sure. And as you mentioned, which is a great point, you got all these teams to some degree peaking. Right. I wasn't impressed. I mean, it was phenomenal to watch the Dolphins score 70 points, but I was like, okay.
But look what happened to them. Look what happened to them the very next week.
You're not going to do that every week.
Well, and look what happened to them the very next week. They lost.
Yes, exactly. That's my point. And it's interesting to see it all unfold.
It's 1 quarter of football. There's a lot of football left. So we'll see. We'll see in weeks to come.
Richard Melton, Stuart Winrow is watching us right now. Richard Melton is asking a question. Let me throw this question up. Let me see.
Throw that question up.
It's right there. Let me resize it down a little bit. Right there. Who's the number 1 wide receiver with the Rams offense when Cooper Kupp returns? When Cooper Kupp's return, is it going to be Puka or Cooper Kupp? What you think? It's going to be Cooper Kupp.
It's going to be Cooper Kupp. Well,
he's coming back this week. He's going
to be Kupp.
Hey, excuse me. Move aside. Step aside, young man.
Yes, sir. This is my spot.
Yeah, it's going to be Kupp to lose.
Yeah, it's Cooper.
It's going to be Kupp to lose. Cooper Kupp to lose.
If I'm the go-to guy, if I'm the go-to guy, and I just happen to go down for a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, when I come back, I'm still the go-to guy. Nobody's going to take my spot.
He's earned that.
Yeah.
He's earned that.
Cooper Kupp's a bad boy.
All right, moving into the biggest surprise. Here we go. Mike, what we got? Good or bad? What's the biggest surprise, bro?
Man, you know what? We talked about this.
I got a lot of them.
Oh, yeah.
We only need one. We only got time for one.
Fred.
Only for one?
You only get to talk about one.
Oh, I'm the host tonight. I can talk about how many I want. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, you're the host, so yeah, you quarterback it. So I'm gonna shut up.
You know the old song.
What's
you
that?
might as well just blow the bugle.
What
Cincinnati
is
that? Cincinnati Bengals are dead.
Oh,
Cincinnati Bengals are dead. Oh, they look like hot garbage. They look like hot garbage. Wow. You know what? They are 1-3. And you know the sad part about it is last week when they lost against that's what I was That's it. Yes. Do you realize this team scored 3 points against Tennessee? Tennessee won the game 27-3. I never thought that the Cincinnati Bengals would score just 3 points. And they scored that in the first quarter. So they was trying to get hot in the first quarter. 3 points. Jeff Burrow, 20 of 30 for 165 yards. I can go back there and throw for 165 yards. 165 yards. And you know what? Here was their longest play. Their longest play, guess how long their longest pass play was?
5 yards.
17 yards.
Oh.
17 yards.
That's not bad.
I think at this point, you said it's not bad. It's not good.
Say hi to Florence. Florence is Florence is all the way in Washington, y'all. The state of Washington. She's watching right now.
What's up, Flo?
But here, hey, so I'm telling you right now, you can go ahead and bury Cincinnati Bengals. That's poor. That's piss poor, as they say. Piss poor.
You know, Don Shula used to say you're pissing up a rope. He said you go out there and piss up a rope. Like, whoa.
Yeah, that's hard to do. Irv, who we got? What's the surprise, bro?
You gonna get wet. You trying to piss up a rope.
Yeah, you the one gonna get wet.
Oh, Lord have mercy. What's going on, Vinny from Island Smoothies and Salads? Vinny Capriati's watching right now. My biggest surprise right now comes with the with the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans and the rookie quarterback C.J. Stroud. I'm impressed with him. First of all, the Houston Texans, DeMeco Ryans seems to have them playing pretty good. They only won 3 games last year, 13 losses, 1 tie. They're 2-2 right now, and everybody in the AFC South is 2-2. So they're right there competing with everybody. They're almost beyond the games that they won last year in terms of the number. But C.J. Stroud, number 2 overall pick out of Ohio State. He's the Texans' rookie quarterback. And most of the time, you know this as well as I know this. You guys know this. When a rookie comes in, he's just not all of that at the beginning, particularly beginning of his first season. He struggles until he gets his feet wet, until he gets baptized, and that usually doesn't happen in the first season. It takes him a season or 2 to get going, unless he's just an overly extraordinary talent.
Yeah.
So he threw in this past week. He threw for another 106 yards in their win week 4 over the Steelers. Now, Stroud, this is why he's my dude. Stroud he's totaled 1,212 yards through the air, second most in a player's first 4 games in NFL history, trailing only Cam Newton's 1,386 yards in 2011. But more impressive than that is he's got 0 interceptions. No interceptions. He's the only player in NFL history with at least 1,200 yards passing and 0 interceptions in his first 4 games. Yes. He's the only one in history that's ever done that. 1,200 yards passing, no interceptions in his first 4 games. No one's ever done that in history. Hats off to C.J. Stroud. Keep playing, keep on playing.
Once again, fans, we hearing the stats being broke down here. Hey, ain't nobody breaking stats down like us, bro. Nobody. Well, I'm sorry, like Irv.
Well, nobody's paying attention to them because they're not making a lot of noise. They're in the app. Everybody's 2-2 right now in that division, so nobody's really standing out. So they're not getting a lot of attention. But this cat is playing. He's playing some good football, and they're right there in the hunt. They're right there in the mix.
Right there.
They have an opportunity to win that AFC South.
Yeah, that's a good point. So we want to have some fun. Y'all want to have some fun with my surprise?
Are we going to have fun with your surprise?
You're laughing already.
I'm going to tell you something. It really ticks me off the way everybody is responding to this, but I understand.
Okay.
I understand because I've been that guy who was able to do something that nobody else could do, and everybody got pissed that they couldn't do it.
Uh-oh.
Okay. I am just totally surprised why anyone else can't run the brotherly shove. Why is that? Why is that? It's gotten to the point, guys, where
the pooch push.
Everybody's been so unsuccessful. Guys are, the media guys are saying that it should be illegal. They should hurt the quarterback. That this is. I don't know why the rules committee hadn't tossed this play out. And for me, being a competitor, and I know you guys are competitors as well, for me, it was about me being in your face and you telling me that I can't do what I want to do, and I'm saying that I'm going to do it. And that's exactly what that play is. That play is saying the Eagles offense is basically saying, we need a yard. Excuse me, guys, can you let us have a yard? And of course they say no, and it's like, thank you very much. We'll take a yard.
Okay.
And it has ticked everybody off to the point to where they want the play thrown out. I even heard one guy, Sims, talk about, hey, if you just hurt the quarterback, they can get the play thrown. I'm like, this. It's to me
100%.
It's equivalent. Let me make a point. To me, it's equivalent to this, Irv, and you, Mike. All right, you got
back up off the camera so we can see your whole head. Back up off the camera so there you go.
Yeah, Mike, I got a big head. You got third and 12, right?
You got to come through the camera. Go ahead.
You got bump and run. No safety in the middle of the field. You know what you do? You look at the quarterback and say, hey, QB, throw me a post. Mm-hmm. And the quarterback says, no problem. You catch the post, and all of a sudden, that's a problem. No, I'm telling you exactly what I'm going to do, and I do it. Why is that a problem? Right. And on top of that, I'm surprised why anybody else can't do it. It behooves.
Okay, we're going to tell you why it's a problem. Okay, I don't like the play, and I agree with the person that you had referenced, because if the quarterback gets hurt, you let some quarterback, somebody like a Patrick Mahomes get hurt doing that, I guarantee they get rid of that play. It's rugby football. I'm sorry. The rules committee, they're going to get rid of that play. We may get through this season with that play. My prediction is that play is going to be banned. Now,
why?
Let me tell you the other thing. Because
I want to hear you. Go ahead.
I'm going to tell you why. Because it's not, to me, it's not football. You're getting people pushing the pile. They're pushing the pile. They're not running a play like we know conventional play.
They're running a quarterback.
No, you're getting there and you're pushing. The running back gets behind and pushes the guy. The guy's not getting the yardage on his own. The guy's just pushing. Let me help you along the way.
Well,
I just don't think it's going to last.
The tush push.
Push.
Yeah, but let me say this. I think this speaks more to why they want to make it illegal than the fact that they're getting a push from the back. They want to make it illegal because the Eagles are the only ones that can do it. That's my
point.
I've seen other teams. No, Mike. I've seen other teams try it. They just
can't do it.
They can't, and they tried to, and they're pushing, from the back.
Making it like it's complicated.
It's not complicated. Exactly. That's my point. Exactly. It's not complicated. But other teams are not successful at it, like the Eagles are.
So you're telling me the Eagles made up this play and they're successful?
I'm not saying they made up the play. I'm saying they're able to execute the play better than anybody else in the league.
What's your question, Mike?
They're able to execute that play better than anybody. I've seen other teams try it where the backs are coming up and trying to push the quarterback. They're not able to execute it the way the Eagles are able to execute it. That's why they want it banned.
What was your question, Mike?
What
was your question?
When people brought in the Wildcat, some teams performed the Wildcat better than others. That was a conventional play. This here is just backyard. Let me push you forward. I just don't think it's a sound play. I just don't. I don't care who's doing it and who's doing it well.
Tell me this. Why can't anybody else do it? Right?
They can. Yep. Everybody choose not to.
Richard Melton said, "Listen, guys, the Bills started."
To do it, they don't achieve it.
Richard Melton said, "Listen, guys."
They can't get it.
Richard Melton said, "Listen, guys, the Bills started this last season with Gabe Davis getting behind Josh Allen several times last season. I don't remember that. You just extra with the Bills, Richard. That's all."
if he gave us a stat, stop hanging your hat on saying Philadelphia invented the push tush.
I didn't say. I never said they invented it. I never said it. I'm just giving Richard a hard time. I never said they invented it. I'm saying that nobody can run it
right now. That's not deception.
Nobody can run it like the Eagles are running it. I've seen teams try to do it. They can't execute it the same. I think a lot of it has to do with Jalen's leg strength. He's pretty strong with his legs.
God.
It would not be a problem if other teams did it and they were successful.
Watch this.
That's all I'm saying.
Hey, Fred, watch this.
They spread it out. They prefer to spread it out.
See that, Mike?
That's all I'm saying.
Mike, Richard said, nah, Mr. Timpson, the pushing happens more often than not. Can you see that? Can you see that?
That's all I'm saying.
Make it a little bit bigger.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. If the Eagles weren't the only team to be able to do it 95% of the time, it wouldn't be a problem.
Well, that's counter to what Richard is saying. Richard's saying it's going on a lot in the league. You're saying not very many people are successful at it. I just don't think it's going to last. I think after this year, they're going to ban it.
They probably will.
The Giants tried to do it last game against Seattle, and they lost to y'all.
It looks like
do anything good. Stop. Just stop.
It looks like a rugby. It actually looks like a rugby play.
It's a rugby play.
It looks like rugby, yeah. Yeah.
But see, you know what? For me, because I watched the last time they ran it, and they ran it against, of course, the Commanders. And when I think it was fourth and one, I think Donovan. I think Hurts threw a screen pass out, and he didn't get anywhere. And he had a yard to go.
So they didn't have a choice but to go to the tush push. That's a problem.
No. They were on like the 50-yard line. They could have punted it. So it was 4th and 1. So I saw when they got ready to do it. I just watched the offensive line, and when they came off, they just wanted it more than the defensive line. Mm-hmm. It's just so obvious that they wanted it more.
Steve Andrews.
And for me, I mean, in the middle of my career, there's 3 things that helped me throughout my career, and I talk to, young wide receivers and football players about it. Knowing what to do, understanding what you know, and being able to execute what you know and understand. Okay, let's go to understanding. Understanding is that we need 1 yard to keep this drive going. Okay, do we know what to do? All right, we get down and we have to come off. Now, having the ability, the heart to say, you know what, we're getting a yard. It seems like nobody else has the ability or the heart to do that, except the Eagles offensive lineman. So they know what to do, they understand it, and they're able to execute it when other teams are not.
One of those $100 million quarterbacks going to get folded up. It's going to be a wrap.
Steve Andrews says same rules. If the other teams don't get it, it's on them. You're right, Steve.
It's on them.
Same rules. They just can't. They can't do it. That's why they want to stop it because they can't do it.
What he did, he went under center as he was doing the push tush, and he came out and he went around.
Right.
So there's different facets to it. All right, look, we got to.
Hey, Fred. I need you to back up off the camera, man, so I can see we can only see like your eyes, bro.
Okay.
There you go.
All right, you got me.
you getting excited, man? Yeah, there you go. That's really excited, good right there. Yeah.
I get animated.
That's
my
not
wife
good for,
always tell me, calm down, calm down.
That picture's not good for reposting. We just see your eyes.
That push tush ain't animated. Oh, boring play.
Yeah, he's the one that brought it up. He brought it up.
Let's go to who is that guy for you this week? Who's that guy? Verb, who's that guy for you this week, bro?
Well, I got to go with AJ Brown.
Okay.
This is the second week in a row he's caught 9 balls. He got 175 yards this week against the Commanders. Last week against Tampa Bay, it was 130 yards, 9 catches. This week he had 2 touchdowns. The week before that, on a Thursday night game, it was he only had 4 catches, but that's when he got into his antics and had his little temper tantrum. And then the very next game, and I predicted this, the very next game, he had the first 2 balls thrown to him. First 2 balls in the game the Eagles threw, they both went to him. Yeah, so, but no, he's a beast. He is really a beast. I don't like, I have hats off to him, but I don't like the penalty that he got, one of the touchdown catches. The defensive back was sitting there on the ground. He took the ball and placed the ball in front of him. He's got to learn how to control that because, I mean, everybody knew he burnt the guy. He already humiliated him.
Which inevitably put them in a position to go score.
Exactly. That penalty hurt his team. So he's got to get that under control. Obviously, that little temper tantrum he threw on the sidelines and then not answering the press after the game and then not addressing the press about it all week long to the end of the week, having to have his coach and his quarterback talk about what he was doing and what he caused on the sidelines, that just is not emblematic of a leader on the team. He needs to stand up, be accountable for his actions, and stop doing things like that. Keep his emotions under control. But as far as his play on the field, he's a beast. When they need the third down conversion, he runs that slant beautifully. He gets in there and catches the ball, bodies up, and absorbs blows and even distributes blows. And he's a big guy, man. If you ever see him in person, he's like 6'2", 225. He's huge. He looks like a linebacker. And he can run. So hats off to him. Great week this week. 2 weeks in a row, 9 catches.
Yeah. Okay. All right, I'm gonna go next. Actually, Mike, I'm gonna leave you for last. I'm gonna go with Stefon Diggs. Diggs was spectacular against the Dolphins this weekend. 6 catches, 120 yards, 3 touchdowns, and the most exciting thing was that he broke a lot of tackles during some of his catches. There was one touchdown at least where he just kind of adjusted his route. But that
was ridiculous on Miami's part. That was just bad tackling, man. Those guys look like Keystone Cops.
Bad tackling for sure. But at the same time, the guy, he did what he was supposed to do, and just kind of bleeding into the Buffalo Bills. They're kind of on their way, and we'll see where they are exactly when of course they come to Philadelphia. But I think Diggs, put up some good numbers this week, and as they continue to move forward, he's probably going to put up a lot of good numbers. So he was my who's that guy this week. What about it, Mike?
Okay, I like your pick. I'm going to go with someone that from the team that Irvin had mentioned earlier. Target for C.J. Stroud for the Houston Texans. His name is Nico Collins. He had 7 receptions for 168 yards and 2 TDs over the win versus Pittsburgh. Now, I don't care how bad Pittsburgh is record-wise, because we've all seen them for years have a formidable defense. They're not at the top, but they're certainly not at the bottom, and they still have the stigma of a defense
always
that you
tough.
have to go against.
Yeah,
always tough. And this guy, he's put together 200-yard games. He's in the middle, about 430 yards for the season.
Yeah.
So he's being solid and consistent for C.J. Stroud, and I think that's one of the reasons why Stroud is playing well. He has a consistent target, and so my who's that guy is Nico Collins, straight out of Michigan. This is his 3rd year, and so he's on pace. You look at it now, like 400 yards, a quarter of the way through the season.
Yeah.
He's looking at having a good year if he keeps it up.
Nice.
They throw the ball. The ball is thrown so much more now than it used to be. I mean, that's just the evolution. That's the evolution of the league. I want to mention this, and I don't know if Mike, you gonna like this or not, because you kind of had problems. I think it was a little bit. No, I had lunch with John Gruden a couple of weeks ago. It wasn't.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. Mike's year at the Eagles wasn't we had to pray every day, Mike and I, before practice. We actually sat out in the car and we prayed every day before practice because it was.
Why? I'm gonna let you finish because you know why? Because my spirit was telling me something wasn't right, and if you look at it now, I was on to something. Go right ahead. Amen, lights.
As much as your spirit spoke to you, and as right as your spirit may be, we cannot disagree with the fact that John Gruden is an offensive guru. He's guru. When it comes to football and his knowledge when it comes to football and quarterbacks and receivers, there's some. I mean, it's second to none. Arguably one of the best. So I was sitting and having lunch with him, and he talked about running routes and how the receivers today don't run routes the way we used to run routes in terms of the route tree, the 1, the 3, the 5, the 7, all the different routes that we used to run. He watches them and he's trying to figure out what kind of route is this cat running. They just have so much, but they do get open. And again,
that's the thing. They run a get open route.
Right. The run get open route, just get there. and the route combinations are just, different than it used to be when we were playing ball. But he thinks that the old receivers are better in terms of route running than these newer receivers, even though the game has evolved into a passing game these days. So I wanted to bring that up because I thought that was very interesting coming from him.
That's a good point, and Fred just alluded to it. It's just get open. I mean, we had to run routes and work to get open, and we had to be precise. And particularly when you talk about Gruden's offense, you know, when he talked about 5 yards, you better be at 5 yards. You know, and it was that type of thing. And you know, the funny thing about it, Fred, is the year that I was there, I played on the other side of Irv, and he had his 2 best years. So I'm not surprised that he went and had coffee with Gruden because he had 2 of his,
actually
2 of his best years.
Actually, and he paid. We actually, hey, check this out, Mike. We went to Hooters. It was the Hooters in Tampa Bay where he actually worked in 1983, and he knows the owner of Hooters. He had this 50% Hooters card, so every time he goes to Hooters, he gets 50% off. But it was the 40th anniversary of Hooters, so we actually went and ate at the place where he worked in 1983 before he got into the NFL.
You know who's one of the best wide receivers / tight ends in the league right now? And I've really never seen him run a crisp route. Travis Kelce.
Travis Kelce.
Kelce just drifts into routes.
He just
drifts open.
It's amazing how sometimes when you're watching the replay and they'll isolate a guy from the end zone, whether it's a wide receiver or tight end,
run a route.
There's no
turning drifts open.
There's no crispness to it at all. It's just like they kind of fall into it a lot of the times. I mean, you do see some guys, but even Justin Jefferson, he doesn't run like crisp routes. He just kind of like weaves into it or falls into it or just gets there. However he gets there, it works. It works. It works.
It works.
Different.
All right, let's roll into our top 5 in the league. Mike, let's start with you. Let's start with 5 going up.
Okay. All right. My number 5 is your boy AJ Brown. He had a good. Wait. You know what? Wait. Y'all need to stop being homers. Okay. He had a good game.
Homers.
But at the same time, let's make sure we keep in perspective who he played against. Washington's defense not hitting on all cylinders. They're at the bottom half of the league right now.
Okay.
They really need to get Chase Young back on track.
Chase Young, he played. Chase Young played and played pretty good.
I'm saying he just came back. He's been injured.
Right, but he played in the Philadelphia game.
Wait. You know what? Hey, this is my pick.
He played.
What's wrong with y'all? What? I know he played.
He played.
So anyway, let me move right ahead to my number 4 because y'all tripping already. Brandon Ayuk, 6 catches, 148 yards. He's my number 4. A win against Arizona. My number 3 is your boy Puka Nuka.
Oh yeah. And hey, when I first called his name, everybody just laughed. Like, who are you talking about? You know you laughed.
Yep, I sure did. But he's been consistent. They still dinking and dunking the ball. I don't care what you say. Right. He ain't pushing the ball downfield, and it's working. It's working.
It's working.
Okay, so he's at number 3, and my number 2 is Buffalo Bills, Stephon Diggs, and the number 1. I'm going to stick with the young man out of Houston, Nico Collins, for my top 5.
All right, I'm very similar.
Y'all almost jumped off the building when I said AJ Brown was 5.
Yeah, well, I didn't. He's one of my top. I guess in the top 10 or top 5 when we did our first show. I forget what number we came up with, top 5 or 6. He's in my top 5 or 6. He wasn't my top guy, but this week I go by the week who performed the best. This particular week, not that they are the best in the NFL at this particular time in totality, just what they did this particular week, which is week 4. So DJ Brown, Chicago Bears, in a loss. Now, the reason I have him at number 5 is because anytime, listen, I played on teams. Mike, you did too. You did too, Fred. We played on teams where they're just not going to win during the season. You're playing, all you're doing all season long is when you're playing games, you're playing the spoiler. We're just you're playing for pride, and we're trying to spoil your success in going to the playoffs. That's what, when you're not going to make it there, that's what you go out in the field and do. And the Chicago Bears are done. They're 0-4. It's not getting any better. Done. Their coach is playing for his job. I mean, he's coaching for his job. It's just DJ Moore. When you go out and you put up numbers, good numbers on a losing team like that, as a wide receiver in a passing-oriented game now, I mean, it's good. That's a good thing. So he's fighting. That's an example of him fighting and having pride in his game. 8 catches, 131 yards. He's my number 5. My number 4.
So, hey, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question before you go to your next one. Mm-mm. Is it because they're so far behind, they don't have a choice but to throw the ball, and he's going to get some numbers?
It could be. But even more the fact that if they're behind, they got to throw the ball. Guess what? They know they're throwing the ball, so they can just tee off. DBs can just tee off on him. Let him catch it and jack him up. So if they know you're throwing the ball, you going across the middle. That makes it even more dangerous.
Okay.
So I mean, I don't know that be the case, but if it is the case, that even makes it even better for him. My number 4, Brandon Ayuk. As you, San Francisco, 49ers 6 for 148, no TDs. They won 13-16 against Arizona. My number 3 is Pookie Nacua. Puka, I know. Puka Nacua. Now, here's the thing about Puka with the Rams. He had 9 catches for 163 and 1 touchdown. But he, right now, in totality, he's second in the league in yards with 501. He's first in the league in receptions, 39. So after 4 games,
I know that, man.
I don't know where this cat came from. Just all of a sudden, I'd never really heard of him until you mentioned him in our first show. He's my number 3. Nico Collins, Houston Texans. He's my number 2 this week. AJ Brown is my number 1.
Ooh.
AJ Brown number 1. My number 1 this week.
That's nice.
This week.
That's nice.
This week.
All right. Well, I think we kind of with the same guys, except I guess my number 1. I'm going to stay with my number 1. But number 5 is Nico Collins. Of course,
he's
at 22 receptions, 400, almost 500 yards, 3 touchdowns. Puka Nacua, of course, Herb, you just rattled off his numbers. Just caught the walk-off touchdown to win the game against the Colts. Number 4, A.J. Brown, I got at number 3. And also...
Wait, time out. You have him number 3?
Yeah.
You have him number 3? I can't wait to hear the rest of them. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
This week? Go ahead. This week, yes.
This week, yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yes, it's this week. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, A.J. Brown's number 3. You heard that, number 3? Okay,
gotcha. We got you. Yeah.
All right. Number 2, who I just raved about, Stephon Diggs. He had a spectacular weekend. Of course, the Dolphins didn't do exactly what they should have done based on last week. And from my perspective, I still got Justin Jefferson at number 1. Justin Jefferson to me is just a sound wide receiver, a very disciplined guy. Right now, sitting at number 2 and number 1 actually.
But what did he do
in
this
yards
week?
He's number 1. He's number 1
at 543 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yep.
And I just think that this guy's just a solid receiver, and every week, whether he had 200 yards, 100 yards or not, he just does something special.
Well, the thing about, like you said, Justin Jefferson, and he's number 1 right now in yards. He's only number 2 in catches behind Ayuk, your boy. Cool, yeah. So the thing about Justin Jefferson is that, not that he doesn't have help on the other side, but everybody knows defensive coordinators, everybody in the stands, everybody knows that he's the go-to guy. And he still manages to get it done in spite of what defensive teams tried to do against him. Came here with the Eagles. We shut him down last year. I think he has a few catches. I'm not sure exactly how many.
Like 43 yards, I think.
Yeah, he didn't have much of anything. But he had a monster game that Thursday night game, the second game of the season, week 2. So
and he did it kind of late in the game too.
Yeah. So
it's kind of late in the game.
Hats off to him. People say, the experts say, that he's the best wide receiver in the league. Even you say it, Fred, that he's the best wide receiver in the league. I don't know that to be true in my opinion, but what he does week in and week out on that team with a quarterback that, Kirk Cousins is an above average quarterback.
They're 1-3.
I'm not saying he's winning. I'm saying he's doing his thing. Mike? He needs some help. You can't do it by yourself. He needs help.
Right.
But he does it.
I'm just saying team-wise, they're not doing very well. I'm not saying anything.
No. Well, because their quarterback,
he's the top receiver in the league, Mike.
And their quarterback, he's doing it with a
in
quarterback.
the league at 1-3.
And this quarterback is wishy-washy. He's got a quarterback.
But here's my point, guys. All I'm saying is my point. I'm not taking anything from Justin Jefferson. What I'm saying is to have that type of productivity out of the quarterback and the wide receiver, they're still 1-3. That's a surprise to me in a sense. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, so you just flipped it around from the way you just said it.
But there's other facets to the game. You got a defense, you got special teams, you got other wide receivers, you got running backs. They might be throwing the ball, he might be catching the ball, but what is everybody else doing that is contributing to that loss?
Mm-hmm.
The thing is when Jefferson's number is called, you're talking about 85-90% of the time it happens.
I am not arguing with you.
I'm not arguing. I'm making my point. I'm not arguing.
Okay.
I don't argue.
Okay. So to your point, Irvin, you say, other people are out there and what the other parts of the team. I agree. Yeah, I'm just saying sport. I'm surprised with the productivity out of those.
Oh, okay, I got you. Yeah.
You didn't say that, Mike. You said they're 1-3.
You didn't hear it.
That's
way.
What you said.
You had selective hearing. You heard
He said they're 1-3. I'm like, what's that got to do with it?
And then I backed up why they're 1-3.
Oh, you backed up and changed. Okay, I got you.
See, Fred gets excited. When Fred gets excited, he gets close to the camera, and we can only see his eye. We see his eyes and his chin. He gets up on the camera. You can't see him.
All right, Thursday night. Oh my goodness, it's going to be a barn burner.
It's going to be Thursday night's going to be boring. Thursday night, what? Thursday night's going to be boring.
Thursday night,
but you know what? We're going to get some questions answered. Justin Fields, we're going to get some questions answered. We're going to see whether Washington's offense with Eric Bieniemy is legitimate. We'll get a chance to really watch him.
It's interesting that you say that, Mike, because they got last week before they played the Eagles. Yeah. Howell got sacked 9 times. He threw 4 interceptions. Then within just a week period of time, they were able to put together a good game plan to play against the Eagles. And Howell came in there and they went into overtime. I mean, he was getting the ball out of his hand quick. He was doing things efficiently. Not always going down and scoring whatnot, but they win the game. He managed the game very well. So to go from that disarray the week before to coming and playing against what some would call one of the better teams in the league, particularly the NFC East, and handling the game and taking the game into overtime, that was what Bieniemy did and what Howell was able to do and what that team was able to do. I thought it was decent.
Did someone on this show say something about Washington a couple weeks ago?
Didn't what?
What's that?
His initial start with MT. Wasn't there someone on this show that said something about Washington and the what Eric Bieniemy was doing with that offense?
Yeah, but he wasn't doing it then. He hadn't done it until last week. What was happening before?
It takes time.
Well, what was happening before that, Doc?
Wait, you can't take it away from the fact that they took the Eagles to the brink.
No, they should have won that game because they should have went for 2. They should have won. They should have went for 2.
They should have won.
If they went for 2 and got it, they would have won. The game would have been over. I think that was a bad call to kick the extra point. I think they should have went for 2 and won the game. Yeah. They were right. They were in a position to win that game.
We think Eric Bieniemy made a bad call and didn't go for 2.
There you go, Eric Bieniemy, Mr. Eric Bieniemy fan.
You know who?
And it's not Bieniemy's decision. Yeah, it's Rivera's.
Riverboat Ron made that call.
Ron Rivera.
So who's winning though? Who's winning?
I think the Commanders going to win this game because the Bears, they're in disarray, man. They're 0-4 right now. Look, the Bears lost to Denver after being up by 21 points late in the third quarter. They lost to Denver. Denver just got waxed, got 70 points put on them. And they lost to Denver after being up by 21 points late in the third quarter. Yeah. I don't see it happening. Their coach, listen, it's been a nightmare for the Bears right now. The D coordinator, Alan Williams, he resigned after 2 games, right? Then you got, Chase Claypool. He can't even come. They won't even let him come. He can't even come in. He can't even participate with the team. He got to stay away because of comments he made in the media. They're trying to keep him away from the team. They got stuff going on, man. That's just, the head coach, Matt Eberflus, what do you call it? Let me see. Eberflus, yeah. He's coaching for his job. Justin Fields, he's doing okay. He threw for 335 yards, but he got sacked 4 times last week against Denver. And one of them was that scoop and score where they tied the game.
Let's not be fooled by the Commanders of how they played against the Eagles, that they're just going to go down there and just run through the Bears.
No, they're not going to run through them.
It's not going to happen.
But they're a better team than the Bears.
I think the Commanders are going to win this game, but I don't think it's going to be a shutout. As you mentioned, Irv, and Mike, that the Chicago is just really going through it right now, and it's unfortunate because there's so many things just kind of happening, and it's just kind of a domino effect, just one thing just hitting the other,
right?
And that's as players who've gone through different situations, with organizations, it never has been to that point for myself, and I don't think it's been to that point for you guys. But even when it was at a lower level of disarray, it was very uncomfortable, in playing in that organization and week to week and just kind of preparing and having guys being dedicated to going out and win. So I can't imagine being part of the Bears right now.
Bears, yeah.
Just trying to go out and prepare and win football games. I can see them possibly winning 1 or 2 games, if that. Unless it turns around.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the thing that's interesting about Chicago, I spent 2 years there. That's a proud organization. Man, you talking about a fan base. You talk about alumni, prior players, that are part of that. They're always around. Walter Payton came on the sideline every game. It's a lot of tradition. This guy, the coach, he may not surpass this year. He may not. Right. He may clean the house.
He's coaching for his job, like I said. Yeah,
they're serious about their football. But I like the fact that this game, it gives Washington the chance to get their run game on track, to get their defense going. So I just think that it gives them a chance to show who they really are. We're not going to say they're going to win everything and they're going to the Super Bowl, but they're a better team. And so I'm happy for Eric Bieniemy getting a chance to put together his offense and do some things that's positive with the quarterback. Because keep in mind, this quarterback has started maybe 5 games.
Mm-hmm.
And so if he makes the turnaround with this quarterback and he's playing at a consistent level, I think he's done well to do that. So I think they'll win 21-10. I have a score.
That's what I was impressed with last week, Mike, how he was able to corral him and get him under control and come out and play a decent game after, going out and having that debacle, 9 sacks and 4 interceptions the week before, then coming back and playing under control and doing things progressively and somewhat successful against the Eagles. Listen, Walter Payton's going on to be with the Lord. He may be watching from heaven and smiling down on him from heaven, but it ain't going to be enough. They're going to lose.
He's smiling now.
It's going to be the Commanders, 24-17, Commanders.
It will be the Commanders. I say the Commanders 27-14. I think somehow, some way, the Bears will put up 14 points.
Well, you know what? That's a great point, Fred, because, Justin Fields played well last week, so maybe he can, put 2 games together. So I'm looking forward to see some of these people that we've been talking about put together a solid game with against a subpar opponent, put it that way. So I'd like to see it.
Well, Fred, that's our hour.
That's it. Good show, guys. Good show, guys. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Please.
And thank you for joining us for another route of Wideout's World. Wow. We'll see you next week.
See you next week. Say bye, Mike.
Peace out.
Say bye, Mike.
Peace out.
Peace out.
We out of here.
Out.
All right.
Yeah, that was fun.